Okay, so same concept applies. Just now we are dividing rather than multiplying. Okay, so same concept applies of our expanded form. So if we look at number 1, 4 to the third is really 4 times 4 times 4. 4 squared on bottom is really 4 times 4. Now when we think about simplifying a fraction, we're always thinking about what we can cancel out of top and bottom. So when I write it out like this, hopefully you can see that I have two sets of 4s that are going to cancel, and I'm left with a single 4 up on top. So the answer here would be 4 over 1, right? If I have nothing left on bottom, I can put a 1 there. Or 4 over 1, I can simply just write as 4. Okay? All right, let's look at number 3 here. So I have, again, I don't have to do expanded form. I have 6x's up on top, right? That's what this tells me here. So 6x's up on top. I'm going to take away or cancel these 3x's on bottom. So 6x's on top, cancel 3 of them on bottom. I'm going to be left with 3x's left on top. So x to the third is going to be on top. If you want to put an x to the third over 1, you can certainly do that. All right, let's look at these other two. Try these problems. So number 2, I have 5 2's up on top. I'm going to cancel 2 of them from the bottom, and I'm going to be left with 3 2's up on top. And then lastly, number 4, I have 4 3's on top and 4 3's on bottom. Those are both going to cancel completely. If I ever cancel everything, remember anything divided by itself is always just 1. I do want to add one more actually a couple more problems over here to the side that I want to show you. Okay, so let's add another one here. Let's try x to the 5th over x to the 8th. So the difference here is, versus the other problems, we have more of them on bottom. And that's okay. If I were to take this out of an expanded form and cancel everything I can, I would be just left with x's on bottom. And that's okay. So that's what you always want to think about. You always want to think about where your bigger number of x's or whatever variable we're working with is, where that bigger number is. In this case, it's on bottom. So when I'm thinking through this problem, I'm thinking, okay, I have 8 x's on bottom. I'm going to cancel 5 of them that are on top, and I'm going to be left with 3. But those 3 are going to be left on bottom. If I have nothing left on top, I have to put a placeholder of 1. Because if you wrote this as x to the third, that would be wrong, because that would be the reciprocal, the flip of this fraction. So if you want your rule here, remember you're always subtracting your exponents, but you always want to keep your answer where the bigger number of exponents started. So in this particular problem, we had more exponents on more x's on bottom to begin with. So our answer, once we subtract, is on bottom. Again, I want to throw in a problem there where you have some coefficients. So say that I have 5x to the 6th over 10x. Okay? So remember coefficients, those big numbers that do not have exponents on them. In this case, we're looking at 5 and 10. We do what we see. So I just see here a fraction of 5 over 10. That doesn't divide out nicely because my big number's on bottom, so I'm just going to simplify this fraction. So if you think to yourself, what can we divide out of 5 and 10 both? That would be a 5. So if I divide a 5 out of top and bottom, I would be left with 1 over 2. Okay, now apply your exponent rule. So with my exponent rules, with my x's, I have more of them on top. So 6x's on top. Cancel out the single x that's on bottom. That would leave me with 5 x's on top. That'd be my final answer. Okay. All right, so go ahead and try these problems. Pause the video, try these problems, and then go ahead and play the video when you're ready for me. Okay, so looking at number 1, I have 10 x's up on top, 2 x's down on bottom. So 10, take away the 2 that are on bottom, I'd be left with x to the 8th on top. If you wanted to put it over 1, you could certainly do that. Okay, let's look at number 2. So I have coefficients 8 and 2 that I want to simplify. 8 divided by 2 is a regular old 4 up on top, which is nice. I see that I have more x's down on bottom, so that's where I start. So I look at my 7 x's down on bottom, take away or cancel the 4 that are on top. I'm going to be left with 3 x's down on bottom. So there's my final answer there. And then last but not least, number 3, I have x's and y's, so make sure you're looking at like bases. So let's start with the x's. I have more x's on bottom, so 7 x's on bottom. Take away the 2 that are on top, I'm going to be left with 5 x's on bottom. With the y's, I have more on top, so I have 5 y's on top. Take away the 2 y's that are on bottom, I'm going to be left with y to the 3rd up on top. Remember, we can't simplify with x's and y's together, so that problem is done.